Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So here we are reading, and we're just behind us is the U.S. Capitol building. You can see it right about there. That's it. That's that famous dome that the TOVP, Srila Prabhupada said he wanted the TOVP, the Temple of the Vedic Planetarium, to have a dome like that. Like the U.S. Capitol building dome. She's just full of smiles today.
Yeah.
And there's a fountain behind us, which we're going to jump in a minute.
In front of the Capitol building, which you can't see, there's a whole row of blacked out minivans with a Secret Service. Mostly listening to what we're saying right now. You know how it goes with the CIA.
With the CIA. Okay. So we're reading. Where are we reading from? Well, I read yesterday with my friend Mike, and we read 16. So today we're reading text 17.
So it's Canto 3, Chapter 27, Text 17. Understanding Material Nature is the chapter title. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Text 17. Sri Devahuti inquired, My dear Brahmana, does material nature ever give release to the spirit soul? Since one is attracted to the other eternally, how is their separation possible? Purport. Devahuti, the mother of Kapila Dev, here makes her first inquiry. Although one may understand that spirit, soul and matter are different, their actual separation is not possible, either by philosophical speculation or by proper understanding. The spirit soul is the marginal potency of the Supreme Lord, and matter is the external potency of the Lord. The two eternal potencies have somehow or other be combined, and since it is so difficult to separate one from the other, how is it possible for the individual soul to become liberated? By practical experience, one can see that when the soul is separated from the body has no real existence. And when the body is separated from the soul, one cannot perceive the existence of the soul. As long as the soul and the body are combined, we can understand that there is life. But when they are separated, there is no manifest existence of the body or the soul. This question asked by Devahuti of Kapila Dev is more or less impelled by the philosophy of Voidism. The Voidists say that consciousness is a product of a combination of matter, and that as soon as the consciousness is gone, the material combination dissolves, and therefore there is ultimately nothing but voidness. This absence of consciousness is called nirvana in Mayavad philosophy.
Or Buddhist philosophy, which is, I guess, what's the same? Any thoughts?
No, I'll be keen to see the answer.
I thought it was interesting that this is first inquiry from Devahuti. Of course, it's not exactly her first inquiry. She questioned him in the beginning, but now she's questioning again. But it's also interesting that she's addressing her son as my dear Brahmana. That's interesting, I thought. And that they're attracted to each other eternally. That's the spirit and matter seem to be somehow attracted to each other eternally. We have some gate crashers here. See these people here? They're just walking into the picture. But it reminded me of something we were just reading in the Topmost Yoga System, the famous statement Prabhupada gives on the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. And one thing that stood out to me this time when I read it was how the material and the spirit try to combine together, but it's incompatible. It's actually an incompatible situation. Yet somehow or other we struggle and fight very hard to try to make it compatible. And but actually it's very much an incompatible situation. But there is no manifest existence of the body or the soul. This is the idea of the impersonalist. So yeah, when the body dies, the soul dies. That's it. It's all done and void. It's empty. Now I'm a little confused. Actually, I have to be honest. Why Srila Prabhupada says that this is nirvana in the Mayavad philosophy? Because generally Mayavads also believe that there's a distinction between the body. Well, they believe it's all one. So when the body dies, one merges. So it's not that they cease to exist. That's voidism for sure. But my understanding is that's more of the Buddhist philosophy. Any thoughts on that?
I'm not so knowledgeable on the Buddhist philosophy.
Okay. I think it's about to rain on us. I just felt a drop fall on me.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, Krishna. Okay, let's hear the answer. I think this is still her questioning. Text 18. As there is no separate existence of the earth and its aroma or of water and its taste, there cannot be any separate existence of intelligence and consciousness. The example is given here that anything material has an aroma. The flower, the earth, everything has an aroma. If the aroma is separated from the matter cannot be identified. If there is no taste to water, the water has no meaning. If there is no heat in the fire has no meaning. Similarly, when there is want of intelligence, spirit has no meaning.
It's interesting because as we've read just previously, spirit souls full of knowledge, eternal bliss, that like this line says that due to, like, if you don't tap into that due to a lack of intelligence, then the irony is that pure spirit soul, which is like a sample of the supreme spirit soul. The only difference is he's a lot bigger, but we are a sample of that in a minute form. The irony is that powerful force that we are can remain dormant for millions of lifetimes, as it does, just because we don't have the intelligence to get it. So you can be George Washington, you can be Madonna, Lady Gaga, Einstein, whatever, it don't matter. But if you don't tap into just that subtle form of, and it's not even hidden intelligence, as Prabhupada says, it's so simple how you can figure out you're not this body. But if you don't tap into it, then that powerful force just remains hidden. It's quite scary as well how you can just, and even as practicing devotees, it can become re-hidden because you can get sucked into the illusion so quickly, Oh, I get a really good job. Now I live in such a fancy, nice place. So, I've got this. So, I've got my duties to perform. I used to be a brahmachari. Now I've got householder life. And we can get so covered so quickly that even for those of us who have been awakened can get put back to sleep. So again, another reason why we have to regularly be tapping into this knowledge and reading, because you get covered day to day so easily, and everything just becomes bewildered.
Covered. I'm covered. I'm covered.
Okay.
The veil. Shall we read the next one?
Text 19. Hence, even though he is the passive performer of all activities, how can there be freedom for the soul as long as material nature acts on him and binds him? Although the living entity desires freedom from the contamination of matter, he is not given release. Actually, as soon as the living entity puts himself under the control of the modes of material nature, jeepers, who's ringing those bells?
And Quasimodo, 10:30.
10:30 in the morning. Actually, as soon as the living entity puts himself under the control of the modes of material nature, his acts are influenced by the qualities of material nature, and he becomes passive. It is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, Prakriti Kriyamanani Guna. The living entity acts according to the qualities or modes of material nature. He falsely thinks that he is acting, but unfortunately he is passive. In other words, he has no opportunity to get out of the control of material nature because it has already conditioned him. In Bhagavad Gita, it is also stated that it is very difficult to get out of the clutches of material nature. One may try in different ways to think that everything is void in the ultimate issue, that there is no God, and that even if the background of everything is spirit, it is impersonal. This speculation may go on, but actually it is very difficult to get out of the clutches of material nature. Devahuti poses a question that although one may speculate in many ways, where is liberation as long as one is under the spell of material nature? The answer is also found in Bhagavad Gita 7, chapter 7, text 14. Only one who has surrendered himself unto the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord Krishna, Mam Eva Ye Prapadyante, can be freed from the clutches of Maya. So you can't even run away, as is quite often the thought of, let's be honest, people, I'm so distressed, I'm so upset, I'm so hurt, I'm so this, I'm so that, I want something better or whatever. But it's quite scary. It's like trying to run away in a maze. You're still lost. I'm in this section and I'm running at just, you can't get out. And the only way I'm going to successfully get out the maze, two ways. One is causeless mercy, which is someone drops a rope down and says, grab onto it and pulls me out, and that's the Supreme Lord. The other one is through the spiritual master and the devotees, where they say, go left, go right, take another left, yeah, there's the door, get out. That's the only way we get out.
Nice. Yeah, 7:14 Bhagavad Gita Daivyeshi Gunamayi Mama Maya Dharakaya Mameva Yapapadyate Mayam Nitam Tarantite Daivyeshi Gunamayi. This material energy of Mama Maya, this material energy of mine, Mama Maya, is Daivi, it's divine, and it's comprised of the three modes of material nature, and it's very difficult to escape from. But one can easily cross beyond it if he takes shelter of me. So that's very powerful. So the purport continues, okay? Since Devahuti is gradually coming to the point of surrender, her questions are very intelligent. How can one be liberated? How can one be in a pure state of spiritual existence as long as he is strongly held by the modes of material nature? This is also an indication to the false meditator. There are many so-called meditators who think, I am the Supreme Spirit Soul. I am conducting the activities of material nature. Under my direction the sun is moving and the moon is rising. They think that by such contemplation or meditation they can become free, but it is seen that just 3 minutes after finishing such nonsensical meditation, they are immediately captured by the modes of material nature. Immediately after this high-sounding meditation, a meditator becomes thirsty and wants to smoke or drink. He is under the strong grip of material nature, yet he thinks that he is already free from the clutches of Maya. The question of Devahutis is for such a person who falsely claims that he is everything, that ultimately everything is void, and that there is no sinful or pious activities. These are all atheistic inventions. Actually, unless a living entity surrenders unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as instructed in Bhagavad Gita, there is no liberation or freedom from the clutches of Maya. So there you go. You got one choice. Surrender to Krishna or stay trapped. Live in the illusion. Take the red pill or take the blue pill. Of course, in the movie, I think the red pill was the pill where you wake up and realize that the illusion. The blue pill is you go back to sleep, you wake up, you live inside the illusion, and you're never the wiser. So we got to decide, which do we want to do? Of course, we want to wake up. Come on now, wake up. Wake up, sleeping. So, Jeev Jago, right? We got to get off the lap of the witch called Maya. And there's only one way to do that. In the Kali Yuga, the best process for doing that is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Rama, Hare Hare.
Text 20.
Okay.
Even if the great fear of bondage is avoided by mental speculation and inquiry into the fundamental principles, it may still appear again, since its cause has not ceased. Purport. Material bondage is caused by putting oneself under the control of matter because of the false ego of lording it over material nature. Bhagavad Gita 7:27 states, Icha Dvesha Samutena. Two kinds of propensities arise in a living entity. One propensity is Icha, which means desire to lord it over material nature or to be as great as the Supreme Lord. Everyone desires to be the greatest personality in this material world. Dvesha means envy. When one becomes envious of Krishna or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one thinks, why should Krishna be the all-in-all? I'm as good as Krishna. These two items, desire to be the Lord and envy of the Lord, are the beginning cause of material bondage. As long as the philosopher, salvationist, or voidist has some desire to be supreme, to be everything, or to deny the existence of God, the cause remains, and there is no question of his liberation. Even envy of other personalities, devotees, is an indirect envy of God. Even if someone might say, I don't know God is, I don't know Krishna is, but just that desire and that enviousness of someone else who is perceived to be better than me, and you get envious, because that's what envy is really, because you see a competitor and it creates some insecurity in one. Then I need to take over and do what they're doing. So even that is within this realms, I would say, of envy, not just direct envy of God, if that makes sense.
Yeah, envy of his parts and parcels, envy of his
opulences,
energy and opulences.
Yeah.
Interesting. Nice. Devahuti very intelligently says, one may theoretically analyze and say that by knowledge he has become freed, but actually, as long as the cause exists, he is not free. This is an important point. So we can read, study, hear, talk, speak, preach transcendental knowledge, but if we're still attached to the material energy, we're still attached to the material energy. Bhagavad Gita confirms that after performing such speculative activities for many, many births, one actually comes to his real consciousness and surrenders under the Supreme Lord Krishna. Then the fulfillment of his research and knowledge is actually achieved. There's a gulf of difference between theoretical freedom and actual freedom from material bondage. The Bhagavatam 10:14-4 says that if one gives up the auspicious path of devotional service and simply tries to know things by speculation, one wastes his valuable time. Kleshanti ye kevala bodha labdaye. The result of such a labor of love is simply labor. There is no other result. The labor of speculation is ended only by exhaustion. The example is given that there is no benefit in husking the skin of an empty paddy. The rice is already gone. So you take some rice paddy and it's like almost kind of like wheat. It's like grains inside of their little husks, and you husk that all out, and then you take and you try to keep husking it. The grains are already out. Similarly, simply by the speculative process, one cannot be freed from material bondage, for the cause still exists. One has to nullify the cause, and then the effect will be nullified. This is explained by the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the following verses. Dum, dum, sounds like a cliffhanger to me.
Yeah, because that's when Kalpila just starts to
That's right.
answer, which would be interesting. But it's a good point that Devahut is making. It's one thing to know it theoretically, but we just read that in the topmost
Yoga system.
yeah, that you have to, it's one thing to know I am Brahman and I'm not this body and like this, and there's something else, something more to life. But it's another thing to act in that mood,
Yeah.
in that space. So some people, which before they come to Krishna consciousness, they do some sort of meditation, they're kind of vegetarian, you know, they're trying to live some sort of a purish life. Maybe some drugs are thrown in there and some free activities, but they're trying to. But because, and they have knowledge therefore that, God, there's something more to life than this, and that's why they're trying to check out almost, you know, and they're trying to find it. But because they don't act on that platform of devotional service, because they don't try to connect with God, it doesn't quite click, which means they can go either way.
Well, they may not know about devotional service. They just may know something else is out there. And
No, but that's my point. No, so I'm not saying that they know it. I'm saying because they haven't quite got there. So I'm saying people that come until you click, and like it says here, and Prabhupada also says, until you plug in, as it were, to the Supreme Power Source, it's a certain level of knowledge, which is better than your average person who doesn't even try to question why we're here, what are we, blah, 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 blah. But until you get to that next step on the ladder, as it were, it remains incomplete.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. And that's, you know, we have to come in contact with the pure devotee.
Yes.
Someone who gives us the knowledge of the process of bhakti. And then if we have a little bit of faith, we start to practice and develop and grow. Sadhu Sangha.
Oh, glory
From
to
Shraddha
Prabhupada.
to Sadhu Sangha to Bhajana Kriya. And then Anartha Nivritti. God help us. But eventually, Nishta. Ruchi.
Okay.
Asakti.
All right.
Bhava.
Yes.
Prem.
All right.
Okay. We'll see you later. We're going to go have a chat with
Right. The man.
Mr.
The
Biden.
big man.
Joe. Joe said he wants to read Bhagavatam. So hopefully our next session, when we hear from Kapila Dev, Krishna only knows, it might just be with Joe.
If he remembers.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Ram, Hare Ram.
Oh no, the
Hare
Secret
Ram.
Service is going to come and get
Okay,
me.
thank you all very much. Kantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Jai.
Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
jai.